Now, he was the king of pastry-winning 2-star Baker Awards and 2 famous Hollywood handshakes. Giuseppe Dell'Anno won all our hearts when he was crowned winner of the Great British Bake Off 2021.
Now, a year later, he's judged the Italian version of the show and has just released his very first cookbook. He joins us to tell us more. Giuseppe, welcome.
Good morning.
To the programme. Really good to see. Buongiorno, indeed, yeah. First of all, how are you? How is life a year on from winning the Bake Off?
Different.
Yeah?
Definitely different from my previous life.
Yeah.
It's fair to say that the show has turned my life upside down.
Yeah, and you get recognised in a lot of places now?
Yeah, which is always very humbling. I love it.
Yeah, and people are generally nice and they want selfies and all that kind of stuff. And baking tips, which is what is in your new book.
And bakes as well.
Yeah, and bakes.
Yeah. People tend to assume that because you were on Bake Off, you go around with your boot filled.
You mean you don't?
Yeah.
This is our newsline.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a boot full of baked goods for us this morning.
I'm so sorry, I can only apologise.
Listen, so your book that you've just brought out is called Giuseppe's Italian Bakes, and you're basically teaching us the wonderful ways of Italian baking. Give us a sense of what we'll find within the pages.
Well, I realised over the years that, Italian savoury recipes are very common and well known abroad, but Italian bakes probably less so.
Yeah.
Maybe except for a couple of classics like tiramisu and panna cotta, but then there is a wealth of bakes out there that are just waiting to be explored and exported, and I've just started to scratch the surface with this one, really.
Yeah, like what's your top one then? Your top Italian bake, not including the 2 you just mentioned?
Well, I would go more for savoury bakes because I don't have a sweet tooth.
Okay.
So I go more for focaccias, for example.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Or those type of.
With what?
Oh, there are 2 that are particularly my favorite. One is focaccia barese, which is the one that goes with tomatoes and olives, and the other one, which is very thin and crunchy, is focaccia genovese, which goes very often with onions or just sea salt.
Oh, that sounds
That sounds. You're loving your own work. I love that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's not my own work. This is the thing. I put nothing in there. It's not my creative effort. It's just traditional recipes.
And obviously, this is very prevalent to what is going on at the moment, or rather relevant to what is going on at the moment. How can you do it in a cost-effective way?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think that the one thing that I often see, especially on the internet these days, is that bakers want to be very original and very sophisticated, so always reach out for very exotic ingredients, which often are quite expensive, and you use once and then you leave to rot in your cupboard. So I would say just don't go exotic. Keep it traditional. I would rather spend time and efforts to do a traditional bake well than reach out and to do something particularly exotic.
Talking about not going exotic, what do you make of all the controversy about Mexican Week on this year's Bake Off?
Well, I feel for the production team because they, anytime they try to be ethnic or to be regional, they always spark a debate. I think that I admire the effort, and it's very interesting for me because I know nothing about Mexican bake, for example. I would have liked to learn more, so perhaps the content was more MasterChef-y than Bake-Off-y, because they focus a lot.
Yeah, there is that grey area.
Exactly. But it's very difficult to get it right, and also the producers can only put the challenge out, and they have no idea what's happening on the day. So, they don't know what to expect and how the bakers react.
Yeah. What have you made of the bakers so far this year? I mean, they all seem pretty decent, but who do you think? Who are your picks?
So I was very sad to see Carol, the pink hair lady, go because she was just adorable. But I think that there are a few very strong ones like Shabira, Janusz, Sandro, Max.
Janusz is every week. Has he had a Hollywood handshake yet? Because you got 2, didn't you?
I got 2. I can't remember, and I should know because I'm following the show very closely. I can't remember what.
Yeah, there was.
Got Star Bakers twice, but not.
There was that weird moment a couple of weeks ago where Dawn and Paul Hollywood just were caught in a stare at each other, and I honestly thought he was going to reach out his hand like that, and he didn't.
Yeah, he was in love with her bake. You could see it in those blue eyes. He was like. mesmerised by the taste of that cake.
Giuseppe, just talk us through the process of sitting at home and thinking, I want to enter this contest. And for anyone at home who fancies themselves as a future contestant, I mean, who was it or what was it that tipped you into getting involved? And, you know, the process of actually being on the show, the stress involved, what was it like?
So it was, I never sat and thought, I want to be on the show. I've always loved the show. And it was my eldest son who sort of tipped me and said, oh, Papa, your cakes are delicious. You should be on Bake Off. And I was like, you might be onto something there. But I just put out the application for sake of fun. It is stressful. It is a lot of work.
You have to go through sort of rounds, preliminary rounds where you have to bake.
Yes,
is that right?
the selection process lasted months, and because there are tens of thousands of applicants, so they have to be very regimented in the way they funnel it down. But I think that wasn't very stressful. It was fun actually sharing the photos of your bakes and tell them what you can do, what you cannot do. But getting ready for the show, oh my God! I mean, you're thinking, especially somebody as insecure as me, I'm going to be, in the eyes of a national TV. What if I make a fool of myself? You want to get ready. So I found that particularly.
Well, you were embraced and loved and, of course, crowned the winner. But, it does sort of weed out anybody who, perhaps might be anxious. I think of my mother-in-law, really good baker, but she just would not, she would just crumble under that kind of pressure. And it just automatically rules out those sorts of people. You have to be able to cope with the kind of kitchen pressure that professional chefs and the like have to deal with day in, day out.
And they do test you for that, because effectively it's actually different from a commercial kitchen, because in a commercial kitchen, if you're a chef, you're in charge. In that context, you're not. You just need. Also, you have to make good TV. So you have got to be able to bake and talk at the same time. And I've never been very good at multitasking.
What's it like when Matt Lucas and Noel, when they come over and they make a little quip, and they seem like nice people?
They are very nice people. At times you're like, oh, just please go away. I've got some... But they do realise that. They read the room very well. So if they see that you're uncomfortable, they just step back and give you time to do your bit and then come back when.
Just finally, obviously you create amazing Italian food, but do you ever like a good steak bake from Greg's?
I just had that a couple of nights ago. It was fantastic. I love that. And I keep saying this. When I first moved to the UK, I was very snobbish about the English breakfast, because Italians do it with croissant.
What, the fry-out?
But the first time I had it, I was hooked.
We converted you.
I was hooked.
Beans or tomatoes?
Both.
Beans and tomatoes.
I won a lot. The full plate.
The full Monty.
Giuseppe,
Listen,
grazie mille. Thank you very much.
Grazie mille.